Well, in today's video, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be doing something a little bit different with the format, as you can see, because we're going to be discussing this article on your screen at length, posted by Reduxx. It's absolutely amazing, and it's just easier for me to edit and easier for you guys to look at. And I know most of you are probably already looking at that headline and are smiling because, yes, this is what happens when women come together. They say, enough is enough. No, we're not doing this, and they take action. Exclusive: women abandon Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament after being forced to fight males. Yes, they were forced to fight against men. They didn't want to do that. They abandoned the event, and because of the social media reaction to it, it's gone viral. There has been some policy changes that are absolutely amazing for women. It's just a shame that it's reached this point where women have to abandon events for policies to change, but they've been changed regardless, and the women will be happy with this one. But before we get into the changes with the policies, let's get into this article. Female martial artists have come forward to reveal that male athletes claiming to be transgender have completely overtaken the women's categories of a major grappling association, leaving them fearing for their safety in many instances. One of the men, Carissa Griffith, took home 4 gold medals in the women's category during a tournament in Georgia on October 21st. Let me grab my mouse and just highlight that part. Took home 4 gold medals in the women's category. Absolutely disgraceful. That shouldn't be happening, and women should not be put in that situation anyway. The North American Grappling Association, NAGA, is the largest submission grappling association in the world, and it facilitates standards and tournaments in various martial arts, including Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But while NAGA has provided competition categories for male and female since its inception in 1995, it has recently become the subject of controversy after a number of female athletes were found to have been matched up against trans-identified males. And because why? Well, the individual truth is the truth, right? You must reaffirm how somebody feels. And as you're about to see, some women aren't even being informed that they're going to be competing against a male. The issue first received widespread attention in September after it was learned that a female Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu athlete had not been informed she would be competing against a male. Taylor Moore posted a clip of her fight against James Alex McPike on her Instagram, noting there was a 65-pound weight difference between them. And I covered that story. Some of you may remember that one a couple of weeks ago. Just imagine being that woman, turning up to the event, expecting to compete against other women, and then a male staring at you across the other side. Right, that's absolutely insane. And interestingly, some people tried to justify this male competing against women. You know, maybe they're liberal and they're all for it, or some people said, well, you know, she trains against other men. It's not even that. I personally don't care. I don't think men should be competing against women regardless of whatever agenda, because I and many others stand for truth, and when truth is undermined in any aspect, then I have a problem, especially, you know. And that woman, regardless if she trains against men or not, could have been put in serious danger. As you saw other women earlier in the article, they're now fearing for their safety. Following the clip going viral, NAGA was prompted to issue a statement clarifying its policies on the inclusion of trans-identified males in the women's category. NAGA does not require biological women to compete against transgender women. Instead, we give the choice to the biological women, and if they decline, they compete in a division with only other biological women. NAGA also provided a link to their official policy, which reads, for those who have not chosen to compete with the transgender female, we will inquire if they have an interest in entering a separate division which includes the transgender female. This additional division will be offered at no cost to those competitors. However, if individuals decline this opportunity, the transgender female will be directed to compete with the males in their respective weight and skill category. I mean, why is that even happening in the first place? That policy should not even exist. The policy should be men competing against men, women competing against women. Women should not have the option to decline to compete against a male identifying as a woman, because that whole idea, that notion should not be happening in the very first place with these sports. It's that simple. But despite claiming to have had a policy in place that required female athletes to be informed, interestingly, many are coming forward to reveal that NAGA has continued to pair women against trans-identified males without their knowledge and depriving them of the opportunity to opt out in many instances. So there you go. They're not even sticking to their own policies. They're not even saying, well, women have an opportunity to opt out. They're just putting them against them regardless of how they feel. Disgraceful. Speaking to Reduxx, professional martial artists Jaden Alexander and Ainsley Wilk highlighted their experience being made to fight against males with no prior warning until stepping onto the mat. I never thought this would actually happen in a contact sport, especially not my contact sport. When I saw him, I was so shocked. I didn't even know how to respond. You know, how does a woman even respond to that? Because women should not have the idea in the back of their head, okay, you know, maybe, just maybe, if I turn up to this event, there's going to be a male on the other side. You know, they expect to compete against other women. That must be a shock to the system there. Both Alexander and Wilk fought against Cordelia Gregory of Temporal Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy, who is one of many trans-identified males currently participating in NAGA women's tournaments. Both women described that they were not informed they would be competing against a male until it was too late during their July tournaments. I hadn't been notified. The only thing that brought it to my attention was my teammates. They kept asking me, are you fighting a man? I was honestly too focused on coaching the rest of the crew to really pay attention to my opponent, Wilk said. I realized very quickly I couldn't outmuscle them like most girls. Wow, who could have seen that one coming? Wilk, who is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt and coach, added, well, obviously because it wasn't a girl. Then not long after, I had to do a second match of which Cordelia threw a tantrum saying he didn't tap out. I was sincerely scared he was going to punch me when I struck my hand out to shake his. So not only do you have to worry about your safety during the whole competition during the match, but afterwards, because the competitor is very salty that he's lost to a woman, because they've probably thought to themselves, you know, I'm not going to do too well on the men's side of things, and I've been given this bridge to cross by this liberal society. Let me compete against the women, and it doesn't go their way. Imagine being that mad that you lost and you shouldn't even be in that category in the very first place. The fact of the matter is, yeah, people don't like facts that much, is that he had a man's strength. I trained with men and women and the difference is massive, Alexander explains. After my match with Cordelia, I sat matside and cried as my teammates massaged out my cramping forearms. So essentially she's got herself hurt from competing against somebody she should not be competing against in the very first place. But no, the individual truth, you know, it's how the other person feels. If they feel like they should be competing as a woman, then that's fine. Okay, who cares about the potential consequences? The liberal agenda, it's always the same. Danielle Lehnen, one of the only females involved in the competition, was made to fight Cordelia Gregory and Carissa Griffith, the latter representing Odyssey Jiu-Jitsu. Following the fight, Lehnen asked for her record to be wiped clean of any indication she had fought either one of the men. Smith said that during the October 21st tournament, there were more males participating than women in some of the women's division. In the women's no GI fight for the 160-169 pound weight class, only Griffith and Gregory participated and took home medals. On his Instagram, Griffith joked about the match, posting a scene from a Japanese what the okay, we're not talking about that, and suggesting that the two women depicted represented him and Gregory, shows how they really feel about women, and they were allowed to compete. Jaden Alexander says that she and other females were set to compete in the October 21st tournament, but dropped out after seeing how many males were involved. There was just not one, but two trans-identified males who were signed up in a bracket that me and several other women should have been able to sign up for, but couldn't because we didn't want to go against the men, Alexander explains. And for a man to be able to come in and sign up in the women's bracket and discourage us from being able to compete at all is absolutely heartbreaking and honestly scary. Ainsley Wilk affirmed Alexander's sentiment and added that most female participants feel unable to vocally protest the gender self-identification policies. The majority of women feel scared to even speak out about this matter. They don't even want to be labelled a bigot or transphobic, Will said. There's so many girls just not signing up now because they're allowing this to happen. Women's sports will cease to exist if this keeps up. Medals, belts, records and money are going to be stripped right away from women. And this was always the concern for a lot of people, right? Apart from truth, reality, common sense being removed, but the medals, belts, records and money being taken away from women when it shouldn't be in the very first place just because of how somebody feels. You know, and these organizations have reaffirmed that belief for so long now, and it's only up until this point, this year really, we're seeing a lot of change with this issue. You know, in other states in America, more and more rules are being put in place to make sure women only compete against women, not only for the medals, belts, records aspect, but also the safety. Women's safety is paramount. And it seems like these people who are all for this agenda just don't think about that. Yeah, interestingly, they'll sit there on social media and say, oh, I care about women's rights. Well, you don't. But because of the social media outrage to all of this, they have actually changed their policies. Reduxx posts this on X. Breaking. In response to Reduxx's exclusive report yesterday, the North American Grappling Association has issued a full policy revision. Trans-identified males will now have to compete in the men's category. The female category will be exclusively for women. And this is how people make change. This is how change happens, by people standing up to this and also people taking action. This is great news. It's just a shame it had to happen this way. You know, it's sad these women have had to drop out of this event. It's good they're taking action, right? And we support these women taking action and we advocate for them doing that. But it's sad that it's reached the point where women have to take the action, right? They have to leave events, abandon events when it shouldn't be happening. You know, these women deserve to compete in a competition with no issues. They deserve to compete in an event where they know they're going to be competing against other women and not fearing for their safety because they're competing against another male. But there is one issue with this policy change, and it still shows how they really feel about everything going on. If you take a look what it actually says here, it says, we as an organization strive to ensure fairness, inclusivity and respect for all competitors within our events. With regards to transgender females competing in NAGA, the following policy shall be implemented. Division for cisgender females. So, you know, it's good they've put this policy in place, but they're still calling these women these names, cisgender female. They're not cisgender females, they are women. Call it for what it is. We will have divisions for only cisgender females. Transgender females will not be entered into these divisions. Division options for transgender females. Transgender females must compete in the men's division. Great news. Amazing to see. Just if they could change this part here, cisgender females, that would be absolutely amazing as well. We hope that the simplicity of this revised policy will help to avoid any future occurrences where transgender females enter women divisions. If NAGA staff is informed that a transgender female is in a women's division, they will be given the choice to go into the men's division or given a refund. Positive change happening nonetheless. You know, again, they shouldn't be calling the women cisgender females. That is disrespectful, but it is positive change, you know, and I really hope other organizations see this and also do the same, because as we keep on saying, women should not be put in this situation. They should not be training every single day in a competition to have that all thrown out the window just because of how somebody feels, right? And that is just the truth of it all. Women deserve to compete against other women and feel safe competing against other women. You know, that is just common sense, but as we know, common sense can be extremely hard to find. But leave your thoughts down below, ladies and gentlemen, on this story. What are your thoughts on it all? I would love to know. If you have enjoyed today, please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. Share this video. But until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day, stay safe, and I'm out. Peace.